Did you know that few directors have had a career as unpredictable as Guy Ritchie? From redefining British crime cinema to nearly derailing his career with artistic misfires, then bouncing back with blockbuster hits, his filmography is a wild ride of highs and lows. But through it all, one thing remains constant: his unmistakable style. Before we dive into these 7 key acts, a real quick ask that if you're new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, please take a second to hit that subscribe button now. It's one small click for you, but a huge deal for us. Now, let's journey through the wild, winding career of Guy Ritchie. Number 1. From the streets of Hatfield to the heart of London. Guy Ritchie's journey to becoming a household name in British cinema is as unconventional as it is inspiring.
Young boys admiration.
Born in Hatfield, Hertfordshire in 1968, Ritchie never followed the traditional path to filmmaking. Instead of attending prestigious film schools, he cut his teeth by working odd jobs in the film industry, making his own short films and commercials along the way. In the mid-1990s, armed with a relentless work ethic and an acute understanding of film as both art and entertainment, Ritchie began making short films that captured the essence of London's underground. His early work, notably the 20-minute short The Hard Case, showcased a taste for raw dialogue, erratic pacing, and a love for the underdog, elements that would become the backbone of his later features. The Hard Case was more than just a short film, though. It was a declaration of intent, a blueprint for a new kind of crime thriller that blended humor, action, and an unvarnished portrayal of British grit. Working with minimal budgets and an independent spirit, Ritchie honed his craft by embracing the imperfections of low-budget filmmaking. These formative years allowed him to develop a visual language that was rough, jagged, and refreshingly unpolished. His early exposure to the underground culture of London and the raw energy of its streets became a permanent influence on his storytelling, imbuing his films with a counterculture vibe that resonated with audiences seeking something different from the polished Hollywood norm. In a world where many directors are molded by industry convention, Guy Ritchie remains an icon of self-made success. His early films, driven by raw ambition and a fearless disregard for the rules, capture a moment in time when creativity was unbound and possibilities were limitless. And it's this spirit, the unyielding drive to tell stories on his own terms, that continues to define Ritchie's work to this day. Number 2. The Breakout, cult classics setting the tone. In 1998, Guy Ritchie burst onto the scene with Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, a film that would forever change the landscape of British crime cinema.
4 friends.
That's my 25 grand.
With a money-making scheme.
You sure you can afford 25? I can afford it as long as I see it again.
That's quick.
You play cards tonight, son? With Harry?
Easy.
Oh, don't be silly, Dad.
And very expensive.
With its razor-sharp dialogue, irreverent humor, and a gritty, kinetic energy that mirrored the chaotic underworld of London, the film became an instant cult classic. Ritchie's knack for weaving multiple storylines into a tight, explosive narrative was on full display as he introduced audiences to a world where every character, no matter how small, felt larger than life. Lock, Stock wasn't just a movie, it was a cultural phenomenon. Its ensemble cast, featuring breakout performances from actors like Jason Statham and Vinnie Jones, brought to life a motley crew of gangsters, gamblers, and hustlers. The film's non-linear narrative and rapid-fire editing created a unique viewing experience that was both exhilarating and refreshingly offbeat. Ritchie's distinctive style, characterized by snappy dialogue, unexpected twists, and a flair of visual storytelling, set the stage for what would become his trademark. Following this breakthrough, Snatch in 2000 further cemented Ritchie's status as a master of the crime thriller genre. With its intricate plot, quirky characters, and that unmistakable British wit, Snatch expanded the universe he had introduced in Lock, Stock while refining his visual style. The film's labyrinthine narrative and its use of parallel editing and montage techniques became signature elements that Ritchie would carry throughout his career. His ability to mix humor with high-stakes action created a template that many filmmakers would later try to emulate. For many fans, these early films remain the high point of Ritchie's career, a time when his vision was unburdened by the pressures of studio interference or the need to conform to mainstream expectations. They captured a raw, almost anarchic energy that spoke to a generation hungry for authenticity and innovation. These films weren't just entertaining, they were a bold statement of identity, a declaration that British cinema could be as stylish and audacious as any Hollywood production. The impact of Lock, Stock, and Snatch goes far beyond their box office success. They introduced a new, edgy form of storytelling that combined intricate plots, colorful characters, and a kinetic visual style that remains influential to this day. In these films, Ritchie proved that the best crime thrillers are not just about violence and heists. They're about the unpredictable, chaotic nature of the criminal underworld, told with a wink and a nod that makes the audience complicit in the madness. Number 3. The Downfall, Missteps and Misadventures. After riding the wave of cult success, Guy Ritchie's career hit a rough patch in the early 2000s, most notably with Swept Away in 2002 and Revolver in 2005.
This is your cabin, sir. Madam? What you can't fit in here, you can keep in my room.
These films marked a significant departure from the raw, energetic style that made his earlier work so beloved. Swept Away, starring Madonna, is often cited as one of the worst films ever made. The project was a dramatic misfire, a misguided attempt to replicate European art house sensibilities that ended up being laughably out of touch with Ritchie's established style. The film's critical and commercial failure not only tarnished his reputation, but also served as a cautionary tale about straying too far from one's strengths. The shift in tone was jarring. While his earlier films balanced humor and gritty realism, Swept Away felt bloated, preachy, and utterly devoid of the charm that had defined his breakout hits. Following this, Revolver in 2005 attempted to venture into a more cerebral territory, with its convoluted plot and heavy-handed philosophical musings. While some critics appreciated its ambition, many found it plodding and impenetrable, a stark contrast to the snappy, vibrant narratives of Lock, Stock, and Snatch. Revolver suffered from an overindulgence in stylistic flourishes and abstract ideas, leaving audiences frustrated and confused. It was a film that promised deep existential insights, but delivered little more than a self-conscious exercise in style. These missteps not only disrupted Ritchie's momentum, but also forced him to confront the harsh realities of being an auteur in a rapidly changing industry. The commercial failures of Swept Away and Revolver cast a long shadow over his career, making it clear that even a director with a unique voice can falter when they stray too far from their proven strengths. The period following these films was marked by a struggle to regain credibility, a battle to re-establish the balance between innovation and the raw, uncompromising energy that had once defined his work. The lessons from this tumultuous phase were clear. Authenticity and a strong connection to one's roots are vital, especially for a filmmaker known for a distinctive style. And while these early misadventures temporarily dented his reputation, they also set the stage for a much-needed reinvention, a pivot that would eventually lead to his triumphant return to mainstream success. Number 4. A comeback with blockbusters, the transformation in the big leagues. After a turbulent period of creative missteps, Guy Ritchie made a remarkable comeback by embracing the commercial blockbuster format without completely abandoning his signature style.
You underestimate the gravity of coming events. Tomorrow, at midday, the world as you know it will end.
Well, there isn't any time to waste then, is there?
Sherlock Holmes in 2009 marked a turning point, transforming Ritchie into a director for hire with the ability to helm big-budget films that still retained a distinct visual flair. Sherlock Holmes was a departure from the gritty, low-budget aesthetics of his early work, yet it managed to retain Ritchie's trademark style through its snappy dialogue, inventive editing, and dynamic action sequences. Starring Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law, the film capitalized on its larger budget, escalating from the modest sums of Lock, Stock to a staggering $175 million for its sequel, Sherlock Holmes: Game of Shadows. This leap in budget not only allowed Ritchie to expand his creative vision, but also marked his transition into the realm of mainstream Hollywood blockbusters. In these films, Ritchie successfully merged his love for intricate plots with the spectacle of high-budget production values. The lavish period details, fast-paced chases through Victorian London, and meticulously choreographed fight scenes showcased a director who had learned to balance commercial appeal with his unique style. His films evolved from a rough-and-ready indie aesthetic to a polished, visually arresting experience without sacrificing the energy and wit that had defined his earlier works. Yet this transformation was not without its critics. Some longtime fans argued that in his pursuit of box office success, Ritchie had watered down the raw edge of his storytelling. The urban, fast-cut style that once defined Lock, Stock was polished into a more generic action-adventure format. Still, for many viewers, the evolution was a welcome change, a reminder that a director can adapt and thrive in a changing industry while still maintaining a core identity. Ritchie's ability to transition into big-budget filmmaking without losing sight of his unique narrative voice is a testament to his resilience as an auteur. The commercial success of the Sherlock Holmes films not only revitalized his career, but also opened the door for a new wave of Ritchie projects. Films like The Gentleman and Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre that signal a return to the crime thriller genre with a modern twist. Number 5. Signature Styles and Techniques, the Ritchie Formula. One cannot discuss Guy Ritchie without delving into the unmistakable stylistic elements that have become his trademark. From his razor-sharp dialogue to his frenetic editing style, Ritchie's films are a masterclass in visual storytelling, a style that has influenced countless directors and become synonymous with his name. At the heart of Ritchie's aesthetic is his innovative use of clip editing and montage. His early films, notably Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch, feature rapid-fire cuts, wide-angle shots, and the kind of dynamic, kinetic editing that keeps viewers on the edge of their seats. Ritchie's penchant for breaking conventional narrative rules, using flashbacks, parallel editing, and non-linear storytelling, creates a sense of controlled chaos that mirrors the unpredictable nature of the criminal underworld he so often portrays. Another signature element is his use of voiceover narration. In many of his films, the narrative is guided by a distinctive voice that not only provides exposition, but also injects humor and attitude into the story. This technique, combined with his knack for embedding pop culture references and witty banter, gives his films a distinct, irreverent tone that is immediately recognizable. The visual style of Ritchie's films is equally noteworthy. Whether it's the stylized slow-motion action shots, the clever use of the Dutch angle, or the meticulously composed scenes that make every frame look like a well-crafted painting, his directorial approach is unmistakable. His films often feature a blend of gritty realism and hyper-stylized action that turn everyday violence into a kind of high art. The deliberate pacing, the interplay between diegetic and non-diegetic soundtracks, and the meticulous attention to costume and set design, all of these elements coalesce into what fans now refer to as the Ritchie formula. The formula is not static either. As his career progressed, Ritchie adapted his techniques to suit larger budgets and more mainstream audiences. Yet the core of his style, the energetic editing, the offbeat humor, and the sharp, memorable dialogue remained intact. Even in his more recent films like The Gentleman, these stylistic hallmarks are evident, serving as a bridge between his early rebellious work and his current status as a director for hire. And while his style has evolved over the years, the essence of his filmmaking, raw, unfiltered, and unapologetically his own, remains the beating heart of every film he touches. Number 6. Genre blending and cultural impact, the British crime mythos. Guy Ritchie's films are more than just crime thrillers. They're cultural artifacts that have reshaped the very language of the genre.
You're gonna have to repeat that.
By blending elements of comedy, action, and stylish criminal underworld narratives, Ritchie has created a new subgenre of British crime cinema that resonated with audiences around the world. His early films, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch, were revolutionary in their ability to mix humor with the harsh realities of London's underbelly. They presented characters that were as colorful as they were dangerous, gangsters with a sense of style and a penchant for unexpected twists. This blend of gritty realism and flamboyant humor captured the zeitgeist of late 90s Britain, offering audiences a fresh, irreverent take on the crime thriller. Ritchie's films have become a touchstone for modern crime cinema, influencing not only filmmakers in the UK, but also shaping global cinematic trends. Beyond the immediate impact of his films, Ritchie has also contributed to the evolution of film marketing and franchise building. His rapid rise from low-budget filmmaker with a modest budget for Lock, Stock, around $1.35 million, to directing blockbusters like Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows, with a budget exceeding $175 million, is a testament to his ability to adapt and innovate. This dramatic increase in budget not only reflects his commercial success, but also underscores the growing influence of his style on mainstream cinema. In many ways, Guy Ritchie has helped to redefine what it means to be a crime filmmaker in the 21st century. His work has inspired a generation of directors who seek to merge humor with high-stakes action, and his films continue to be celebrated for their unique ability to make the underworld feel both dangerous and delightfully absurd. Whether you're a die-hard fan of British cinema or simply appreciate a film that dares to break the mold, Ritchie's contributions have left an indelible mark on the industry. Number 7. Recent works and the evolution of the auteur, a new chapter in a legacy. After a career marked by early successes and notable missteps, Guy Ritchie's recent work signals a cautious yet promising return to his roots.
Our protagonist is a hungry animal. There is a lot of money hanging in the balance.
Films like The Gentleman and the Netflix series The Gentleman show that even after years of working within the Hollywood machine, Ritchie is still capable of injecting his distinctive style into new projects. These recent ventures have allowed him to re-engage with the crime thriller genre on his own terms, blending the signature elements of his early work with a more mature, polished sensibility. In The Gentleman, for example, Ritchie revisits the underworld of British crime with the same irreverent humor, dynamic editing, and memorable characters that made his early films a cult phenomenon. The film, with its intricate plot twists and snappy dialogue, serves as a reminder that his unique vision is still very much alive. Although the scale and budget have grown exponentially since Lock, Stock, Ritchie's ability to create a compelling, stylish narrative remains undiminished. He continues to balance commercial viability with the creative risks that define his work, even if he sometimes faces criticism for leaning too heavily on familiar tropes. What's more, Ritchie's recent projects reflect an evolution in his approach to storytelling. While he once thrived on the raw energy of low-budget filmmaking, he now harnesses that same energy within a more refined framework. He's learned to navigate the pressures of large-scale productions without sacrificing the core elements of his style: fast-paced montage, quirky dialogue, and a deep-rooted sense of Britishness that sets his films apart. At the same time, Ritchie's willingness to experiment with new formats, such as his forays into TV and streaming, signals a broader ambition to extend his auteur legacy into new territories. His work continues to influence not only the crime thriller genre, but also modern cinematic storytelling as a whole. Despite occasional misfires and moments of stylistic inconsistency, Guy Ritchie remains a true auteur, a director whose work is unmistakably his own, regardless of the changing tides of Hollywood. Guy Ritchie is more than just the British Tarantino. He's a director whose films are as unpredictable and dynamic as the underworld he so vividly portrays. Few directors bounce back from career lows like Ritchie did. Whether he's a true auteur or just a stylish genre director, one thing is clear: love him or hate him, you always know a Guy Ritchie film when you see it. So, what do you think? Has Guy Ritchie truly cemented his status as an auteur, or has his journey been a wild roller coaster of highs and lows? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into Hollywood's most iconic filmmakers. This video is made by movie fans, for movie fans.